And stay out. Smushed! Bye-bye.
Hi, Zizaran here with another video for the Gauntlet. This is going to talk about a little bit about the early dangers, like for example Hillock, how to kill him, what you need to look out for, and some strategies in beating the Gauntlet. This should cover things like builds as well, so check that out, and best of luck in the Gauntlet. And remember, everyone can join. It's just going to be below your character screen. You don't have to do anything, you don't have to sign up. There are no slots to pay for. Everything is helped for by GGG, so pretty awesome. So this is something that's very, very hard to start with in the Gauntlet. It is a shadow. And you can see here on the right that we have the Gauntlet practice mods on. So it's 40% more monster life, 70% AoE, 20% damage, movement speed, attack speed, cast speed, 30% extra physics, fire, cold, and lightning. And since we have minus 20 all res, they do even more than normal. Even this hungry corpse here at the start can be very, very dangerous. So now, surprisingly, Hillock is actually very, very dangerous in this, and it's actually very, very important to go counterclockwise. And you can see that if you do get hit, we can take one hit here. Does a large amount. When he gets his sword out, he can actually one hit you. So you actually want to make sure that you have always attack in place, and then you want to attack right after that he is attacked, but in a different direction. So basically, a crit from Hillock at this point one-shots you. And this can make it very, very tempting to... Ooh, see, there I ran clockwise and now you hit. Whereas on counterclockwise, you cannot get hit. But yeah, it's pretty easy as long as you are aware of running counterclockwise and attacking right after. I have a few videos too, like from the past, that are going over what zones are extremely rippy and what's like super dangerous in the Gauntlet. And that's obviously changed a little bit because there's no, like, cannibals aren't as dangerous anymore. You still don't kill anything on the coast, you just run through that. But now in the climb, the goats are literal death. They were always dangerous, but now with AoE, instead of hitting like at this big area, they hit like at this big area. So the goats are where a large amount of people are going to die. And honestly, pretty much everything in the Gauntlet is very dangerous. Something very important to note is that the first 3 acts are the worst. So if you're new, if you're trying out the Gauntlet, trying out the event for the first time, then you gotta remember that this does get easier over time. Obviously, the endgame stuff is harder. Like Maven, Uber Series, and stuff like that. But maybe your goal is just to get level 90, and that is actually doable, even if you have 1,000 deaths on softcore. You just gotta approach it very differently. I think it's very common on softcore to think about the campaign as a chore that you just have to go through. But here it's just a much larger part, right? You, especially the first 3 acts, think of it as mapping or think of it more as a roguelike or like Dark Souls early on. I would never do an ultimatum unless you're 8 or 7 levels above the zone. You can go back and do some for gear, but treat it more like a big uphill battle that you need to go through. And once you're in maps, it's actually not that bad because you normally alch your maps anyway, right? And if you're then running blue maps, it's pretty much the same as running like fairly dangerous alch maps. So I believe you can do this. You just gotta get through it, over level a lot, and yeah, you can do it. Let's talk a little bit about builds. Normally I recommend 1 for each character, but that's a little bit superfluous because the people that are watching these videos, they're not trying to compete for rank 1 or rank 2, mostly. So what this is going to be, I'm going to give you guys a few builds that are really good to hit level 90. And to start off with, stealing Darky's builds, really, really good choice. Slayer is just incredibly strong. I'm going to try to have Organic make up a POB for you guys as well and give you some ideas and notes that should be, might not be in at the upload of this video, but we'll have it in before the Gauntlet. And here you can see Darky's character to get some idea. And so he's using, you can use Ground Slam, you can use Earthquake, or you can use Earth Shatter. They're all very, very similar and just minor changes to the build. Darky's using Earthquake. And obviously Fist of War being really, really nice. You don't really do that with Ground Slam because, well, Ground Slam is so strong and doesn't get supported by it. But you can see here that it's mostly very, very heavy focus on life and stuff like that. He's also ailment immune. So honestly, like this champion and doing Earthquake, Ground Slam, or a Shatter, really, really good choice. It actually feels really good early on. Whatever the first steel skill is called, it's really, really good early. And then the level 12 steel skill is really good damage, although like it is slightly more dangerous because it's so melee. But the steel skills carry really hard until like level 30, 38. 38 especially because of Fist of War, Brutality, and it feels really, really good. And the steel skills are nice so early because you don't necessarily have any tank or a lot of HP and you don't want to be close to the monsters. So this is probably the easiest and best build to get level 90. So another build I'm going to recommend is actually Gladiator Slinger. This is going to be particularly rough early, but assuming that you don't want to kill a single difficult boss, it's actually a really, really good choice. This ended up being the first level 100 on solo stuff on hardcore, and I played it myself too. Really, really good build. It's fairly tanky. It just obviously struggles with single target, but if you're over leveling a large amount, you get a lot of damage from that. Definitely a build I would recommend doing 6, 7, 8, even 10 levels above, because every time you level up those gems, you're getting such a large damage boost. You will be very, very low damage, but you'll have a high survival and you'll be able to kill things from far away. So pretty good choice. And obviously block, really, really good. And you could eventually try to get a shaper block shield for life on block. So this is another one, and we obviously have a full guide for this. The only thing that I would say is very different is, well, first of all, decoy totem is really good for every single build. Another thing that will be really popular in the Gauntlet, this is probably the one I recommend least to new players, but it is still very strong. But Blade Blast, there's like, you could do Inquisitor, you can do Assassin, and you can do Raider. I personally don't know much about Raider, but it's basically an Archmage version, and it's very, very tanky and good damage. It was one of the things that finished everything in the last Gauntlet, so it should be incredibly strong. You also have Assassin, really, really strong, probably the best choice as well, because it needs nothing to come online. However, it is very, very squishy and relies on very specific movement on your part. You really need to be good and not getting hit. So I do want to recommend it because it is very, very strong and a good build. We're going to see a lot of people playing that at a high level. But yeah, be careful if you're a new player. I would say definitely the strongest thing to get level 90 on is Slams. Another build that could be really good as well is Cold Dot, and if we can think of any other builds, we'll try to put up some POBs with notes and stuff in the description of the video. But either way, this should be an amazing Gauntlet. I hope you guys are all excited. This actually is more accessible than past Gauntlets because the start is easier. AoE is a lot less deadly than multiple projectiles, so there will be a lot less like one-shots that will take you out from nowhere. So again, treat it very differently than the normal game and you should be fine. There have been so many players that said they had normally hundreds of deaths on softcore, but they took it really slow in the Gauntlet and they managed to get level 90, and you can too. So looking forward to see everybody participating. Welcome to the Gauntlet. Thanks so much for watching. Sub if you liked the video, but more importantly, try to die less than I do.